Our biggest growth has come through, and this is one of our principles, is that we learn through our pain and our triggers. Like triggers are any moments that I get pissed off. And I'm going to give you an example. Yesterday when we were going for a walk, Ocean, for the very first time, she's been great. Ocean's been fantastic.
Inside of our introduction, you'll always hear me say, my baby doesn't even cry.
She cried.
And 99% is true.
I was like to Keri, oh my God, we're going to need to change that podcast intro because our baby cries. So yesterday we were going for a walk in the afternoon, and then about 5 minutes in, Ocean's having a bit of a cry. Like she's uncomfortable. And the reasons why she's uncomfortable in the end is because she's just so tired of just being carried. She's 11 months and she just wants some action in her life. And I think she's brave enough to get some action. And so we're walking and I'm trying to carry her, and the walks are so precious to me, selfishly, and Keri, because they're a great time for us to soundboard. Like when I don't get my walks in with you, I don't feel quite right. Like it's a walk and talk. I sit down. We start off with anything's open within. I then throw out a topic. She throws out a topic, and then whatever topic, and then what, and then whatever topic is the one that we latch onto, we'll go deep into that. And it's really funny because it starts out really like surface level. It's like, how's your day? How's your afternoon? What'd you get up to? I'm like, here's what's happening with the team. Here's what I'm thinking. And we've had very different talks along the way. We've had some really intense talks where I'm in warrior mode. And I'm like, Keri, I gotta do this with a business. Like, come on. And I'm really intense. And
other times we're like, I feel fat.
Other times I'm like, I've just eaten way too much. I'm carb coma-ing. We're not having any dinner tonight. Let's just make a smoothie. Yeah. But more often than not, like our talks we bounce about, 5 to 6 different kind of comments and ideas. And then she'll be like, you know what? I heard something. And then we go into a discussion, which is really, really cool. It's really cool. I love that because we actually go deep. And what I start to notice is when we have a conversation that's really deep, the walk feels so quick. Like we can walk. I was walking last week and the week before when Ocean was good and I was carrying Ocean. I was doing like 15,000, 20,000 steps a day, no worries. Now I don't do 10. I haven't done 10 this week on average, and it's because I've noticed that the walks are longer. And the walks are longer because I don't get into that deep trance state that I get into with oxygen, breathing in air, and then my mind wandering deep with you into the deep fake of the mind chasm, the energy. So I start to notice the walks get longer, and when the walks get longer, I really notice the walks. I'm like, oh, when are we going to get home? And I'm like, oh my God, we're not even halfway yet. And Ocean's just crying. Not really crying. She no tears. Just mowing. And mowing is a Vietnamese term for when you mow, it's kind of like you look sad. She's just mowing, she's whining, and she just wants to she's kicking and she wants to go down. And so we let her down, and she's playing with She's playing with gravel for the first time, dirt road. She's trying to eat some, and I'm sitting there just completely letting her do whatever she wants because I don't want to interfere in her fun. And Keri's like, what are you doing? Don't let her eat dirt. And I'm like, isn't she supposed to learn from that? And Keri's like, no, you don't let your baby eat dirt. And I'm like, oops. And so I'm getting really triggered. And when I say triggered, I think most people, when they think of the word triggered, they think angry, or they think, he got triggered. He got really annoyed. And I think trigger is a word, to describe any trigger as something that causes some sort of feeling or emotion.
Like a heightened, like a sudden.
Like a sudden change of state.
Yeah.
So something could trigger me to feel insanely happy. Something could trigger me. I think it's used in such a way where it's used to just denote a negative, hey, you got annoyed. He was so triggered. It's like, but that doesn't really make sense. Something triggered you. Being triggered is triggering an emotion. And so at times I'll feel a trigger I'll trigger myself to feel appreciative, love, appreciation, joy, gratitude. Ocean triggered me to feel really tense last night. I was unhappy. I felt like I'd done wrong by her because I didn't know what to do. I was like, if I let you down, we're never going to get home and you're going to hurt yourself because you're crawling. And Ocean, like all she wears all day, if you see her, it's kind of like Tommy from the Rugrats. It's the cartoon where she just wears a nappy, a diaper, and she wears nothing else. Like she just likes to be naked, which is cool. So she's crawling on the gravel and I have to pick her up because I don't want her to hurt herself, but she doesn't like it. She wants to go down because she's walking. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that like she loves adventure so much that I think secretly you're so excited that she loves adventure. I'm horrified of adventure because I'm the guy that wants control and certainty and consistency. And I want to know, there's so much discipline and routine to my day to actually figure out how to manage family and business and everything together. And you love adventure because you love the excitement, the exploration, the life, which but I'm so terrified of that.
Well, you have adventure in your business because adventure comes with risk.
I think.
Whereas I don't have adventure in business.
That's true. I do feel like in business, I almost, it's significant. Number one, and this was actually, you were talking about this on you were discussing this with the guy that you were listening to, where he talks about why men and fathers are so, they tend to not focus on their kids when they're young, and they tend to stay in the business because they find their business a place of their comfort zone. And because these businessmen are in their businesses and they have so much significance, they have so much status, they get so much, they feel so important in their business. They feel like everyone appreciates them. I feel that way. And a couple of years ago inside of my business, I was like, people loved me. My clients loved me, right?
Everyone
they make me feel so important. But then I'd go home and Keri was like, why do you like this guy so much to everyone? That's what you thought, right? And then at the same time, I just wanted to spend more time in the business because that's where I was getting appreciation, etc., etc. So I'm going to go back to O, and putting her down, I found myself in a weird state. I'm like, well, O, like if I pick you up, I'm afraid that you might not like me. And my fear was, holy crap, she might not like me. And if she doesn't like me, then if we go home, then she's not going to come to me and we're not going to get to hang out. And, I want you to like me, oh. And it's really weird because with anybody else, I seriously don't give a like, and it's weird for you to observe that firsthand because you came up to me later and you're like, it's really weird watching you wanting to be liked. And I think over time, I used to be a people pleaser, and then I started to realize that I need to please myself for my own sense of happiness. But now with O, it's so raw right at the very heart that I'm like, oh my gosh, I want you to like me, because if you don't like me, then like, I don't know, what am I going to do? Like, she's everything to me. She's like my fun, my joy. The parents are here right now and they're looking after O, and when she woke up from a nap, she reached out to her grandma and wanted a grandma first, and then she wanted a grandpa, and then daddy came around and she didn't want me. And I was like, I get it. I'll let you play with grandma and grandpa. You haven't seen them. But I go, oh my gosh, like, where am I in this ranking system? I started just to notice this. And I don't know if it's a big deal for you because you're mom and you have the boob, your mother. Mother is kind of, you can't lose connection between mother and child. I think that's
also not true. That's not true. Yes.
That's my assumption that the mother and connection, like, O's going to love her mother more than me. And I've accepted that. That's the story I tell myself, at least, right? So I found myself triggered because I was walking home and the walk was long. I didn't get to soundboard with you and give bounce ideas because I think...
Who were you triggered at? At this point, I'm like, are you triggered at Ocean or at me?
I'm triggered. I'm upset. I don't know. I'm triggered at Bella, right? My first instinct is this dog. What are you doing? Right? Because I don't, when O triggers me, it's not the trigger. I can't be upset at her. She didn't do anything wrong. She's like in this invisible force field of, don't blame me. I did nothing wrong. Then it's Bella, and then it's kind of like, well, hold on. Keri made a mention that she brought O out on the grass earlier to play on the floor. And I was like, oh, Keri, you're such an idiot. You shouldn't have brought her out on the grass. And then that thought floated into my mind, and then I caught it, and I'm like, that's the worst excuse to blame Keri in the world. And then it's really weird when I'm having a I'm getting triggered and I'm getting annoyed, but I have no one to blame. I can't blame Bella because Bella didn't do anything. She's just walking along the grass, and I'm like, this is frustrating. You never want to blame yourself because you always the last one to blame yourself. So then I try to figure out how to blame Keri, and I go, yeah, it's Keri's fault.
Totally.
She allowed Ocean to play in the grass before. And then I'm like, that is the worst. That is a pathetic excuse, right? Like, this is happening real time. And then I go, it's something in me that I'm like, why am I triggered with this? I'm like, is Keri annoyed? Why am I annoyed? And a lot of the times I'm annoyed.
Does it annoy you that I'm not annoyed?
Not anymore.
Okay.
It used to.
Yeah.
It used to be like, get a sense of urgency to you. Do you not care about anything?
Yeah. The care factor.
Do you not care about, are you just careless?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, how carefree are you? And because I live, like, my life is on a schedule. Like, that's just the way I live my life, because it gives me a sense of calm, certainty, clarity. I was going to say this, like, this is the statement where I go, I've been a poor man, I've been a rich man. And this is the Wolf of Wall Street thing. And I'm like, I've lived my life without a schedule, and I live my life with a schedule. And I choose a schedule every single time because I know what my life is like without one. You know, it's chaotic. So I live my life very scheduled. And the problem with that is I don't get a degree of freedom and flexibility. So if the plan doesn't go accordingly, my state can alter very quickly, because I'm like, all right, 4:30 should be a walk time, walk and talk. This is refreshing. We're going to go home. Ocean's going to eat. I'm going to give Ocean a bath. Then I'm going to get straight back to work. And then I got team meeting afterwards. And then I was like, oh, I'm put off the plan. I was triggered. And you're right. I used to get annoyed when you didn't get triggered. Oh, sorry, when things wouldn't trigger you, because I just thought, does this girl not care about anything? And I would hold on to that, and I would almost find a sense of pride in my caring.
Yeah.
I'm like, I care because I have high standards. She's got no standards at all.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of that like that inside the company. When I first started, I'm like, I care about every single little detail because my standards are here. And a lot of the times that created my own unhappiness. And I think there is a balance. There's a balance between the standards, and there's a balance between not taking so seriously all the time.